Okay.
Okay. I'm really excited for today's episode. Um, I mean, just because we lived it, we have a lot to talk about.
I know.
Um, I'm just excited to get into the swing of it. If I'm being honest. I've already started recording too, so we can just
You
start
just
firing
go.
whenever you want. I guess we can try and do a little introduction. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode of the podcast. We don't know which episode you're watching as far as numbers go because we've recorded a few episodes before this. We don't know in what order they're going to come out, but this should be number 4. Thank you again for coming back. My name is Julian, and this is my partner Richie. And today we're going to be talking about our experience as Dartmouth students so far, what we wish we knew before we came to Dartmouth, and the idea of homesickness. And maybe we might even talk a little bit about what it's like being in quarantine, being in school in quarantine, um, especially after a wild first 2 terms on campus. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get into it. Is there anything you want to say before we get started, Richie? Oh, I
Um.
forgot to say. Sorry, one more thing. Thank you so much for over 50 subscribers. We were at
Yes,
we
sir.
were we were at I think it was 43
It
when I
was
first put out
43.
that video. Almany's begging for more subscribers, and now we're at 63, which is pretty wild. So thank you so much. I believe we're at 63, but we passed 50, so I'm so
Yeah,
thankful. Um, I guess the 50 sub special is coming soon, but we need more time to think about that.
definitely. Hopefully, we don't hit 100 subs before we get out the 50 sub special. But you never know. You never know how things are going.
Might
But
have to hold
one
back on
thing that's
this
happened,
cake thing.
at least since you may have heard from us last, was we're now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Big things are coming, people. Big things are coming. You may be listening to this right now on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Thank you so
Which is
much.
wild.
We
That's wild.
appreciate the download. If you're on Apple Podcast specifically, rate the show 5 stars. It really helps us out a lot because right now you kind of have to look up one of our names to find the podcast. But if people start rating it, you might just need to look up Two Islands and we'll be the first ones to show
We'll be
up.
there. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in. If you guys liked it, wherever you're watching, YouTube, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. It'd be great if you could share this with a friend. We'd love to reach more people. But yeah, I guess we'll get started now.
All right.
So, what I wish, why don't we first talk about our perceptions of college before we came to Dartmouth? Because I feel
Okay.
like for us, like especially, you applied ED, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay. Like,
sent the
look at the difference.
application in October. No, November. That's what it was.
Yeah,
November. November
November 1st.
1st.
I
Uh,
remember
that
because
Halloween was stressful.
I remember I remember the night before it was due, actually. It was due November 1st at 11:59, right? If I remember correctly. So October ends on the 30th, right? Not the 31st.
Oh, 31st.
Okay.
Halloween.
Okay. So on October 31st, I looked at my Common App essay
Yeah.
and I said, "No, I think I want to redo this."
You really? I didn't
Yes.
actually know this.
Everything else was done and packaged up, ready to be sent out, but I was looking at that Common App and I was like, "You know what? No, it's not
Like
going to work."
the main long essay, like the main one. The
Yes,
650
the
word
essay.
the essay. Oh man.
So yeah, I was just looking at it thinking, oh, is it good enough? Could I pass it off? I mean, the rest of my application I thought was pretty strong. It might be okay if this one essay is lacking. And then I was like, I have 24 hours. There's no way I'm gonna have put in all the work throughout middle school, high school, making the rest of my application just to fall short on the Common App essay. So you know
Yeah,
what I did at
exactly.
like 10 p.m. the night before? Delete. Started brand, started brand new.
Oh my gosh.
And I knew Dartmouth was the school for me, right? So I was like, you know what? Since I'm starting from scratch, and I know Dartmouth is a place I want to be, might as well go all out. So you know what I did? I grabbed one of the supplemental prompts, and I
Yeah.
made that my Common App essay. because the last option for the Common App was, oh, you can make your own prompt and then write an essay about it. So that's what I did. I totally got on my knees and simped for Dartmouth. Look, even my Common App essay is about you guys.
If this doesn't work, I don't know what will.
And I was screwed because, like, I'm sure amongst all the because I was planning on applying to the other Ivy League schools if I didn't get into Dartmouth. I'm sure they know the other school supplementals.
Oh,
so
yeah,
if I
they
didn't get into
definitely read up
Dartmouth,
on them. They easily do.
so if I didn't get into Dartmouth, they're like,
Would have been just easily blackballed. Easily.
I would have had to make a whole new Common App essay. There's no way I'm turning in to like Yale, rolling up and being like, hey guys, if it wasn't obvious already, I applied early decision to Dartmouth. Here's my Common App essay. It's with a Dartmouth prompt. You want to take me?
And I talk about the green in this paragraph, this line right here. Just word drop the green. It's okay though.
I just copy and paste my Why Dartmouth essay 3 times. Send it. No. But yeah, that was my application experience. Extremely stressful. Extremely stressful.
That's insane. Okay, no. So for me, it was definitely like at least like those 48 hours before it needed to be hit submit to be considered ED. I was just stressing out because I was like doing all the like last minute tweaks to like activities and like a bunch of other like which activity should be ranked here, like because it's supposed to be like in order of importance, right? Yeah, making sure all the adjectives are correct, using some word reference to make sure that
the source stuff,
the source, word reference, everything. I was going in to ensure.
Picked up trash on the beach.
Grammarly came extremely clutch. I'm not even gonna lie, like not even sponsored, but like, oh my gosh, without them, I would not be where I am today. Oh my gosh! Every time I saw like, I just removed it. I had to put something else in. I had to.
Dude, for me, it was the I. Like, every time I put I in, it was like, well, we have to rewrite this sentence now. But you know what's the crazy thing? All throughout high school, people entering a college app essays, people are like, don't use I in sentences. That's so unprofessional. Blah, 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 blah. But then as soon as you hit the floor in college, all the professors are like, yeah, we don't know why high school teachers tell you that. Prefer that you use I.
Yeah.
Because it's either use I or you say really vague blanket statements that we're not sure anyone actually believes, but you claim to be true.
Exactly. So like if you're gonna make statements or claims, you may as well use I so that we know that you're trying to own it.
Yeah.
So hey.
But
that's what happened in the transition from middle school to high school too. I remember it was like we'd use those sentence starters where it's like you take the first part of like the sentence and then you use that to like write out your own sentence. So it was like, why do you think the boy jumped over the bridge? The boy jumped over the bridge because, and that's how you'd write your sentences. Yeah. And then in high school, they're like, nah, take that out, take that out. So,
all right.
I feel like so they just take stuff out.
No one can agree, which makes it confusing for us. So, what were your perceptions of Dartmouth before you came here? The reason why I brought up early decision apps is because I feel like us, especially the kids that were so invested in Dartmouth, you know that we were up late, 11:30 p.m. watching those day in the life videos at Dartmouth, like all the videos that Joelle and Hannah Science would post. Oh my gosh, that could be me. All the dorm tours.
I actually, for Dartmouth at least, I didn't watch the dorm tours. I only watched those after I got in, which was really interesting. Because, like, I was, like, so set on Dartmouth, but, like, because I'd already visited the campus and slept in a dorm, I was like, okay, like, let me not get myself too invested just in case they hit me with that fat rejection. So I was like, okay, let me not go in too much. Let me not go in too much. But once I got in, though, I was all over those videos.
Yeah. For me, I was like the opposite. I would just get so excited. Like, this is another funny story. So, I was really bad about like being responsible with the SAT and everything like that.
Okay.
So I took my first SAT and ACT
Hmm.
the summer before senior year. The
That
first
was your
one
first.
in June, yeah. June of
Oh,
2029.
boy.
No, 2020. June 2020. No, June
No, June
2018.
2019. No, June. It would have
June
been June
2019 is after we
2018. It would have been
graduated.
June 2018. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
took my first SAT. So every day that summer, I was in Starbucks from literally like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. doing practice tests, studying, everything like that. I got the College Board SAT book, and I
Hmm.
did all like practice tests. And there are days that I would do 2 practice tests in one day. It was terrible,
Oh my
terrible. But you know what kept my spirits up? Joel's videos. So thank you, Joel. If there's any chance you see this, thank you so much. You kept the spirits high when I really didn't feel like taking that math section on the second SAT.
Oh my
That
gosh, the
brutal math
math
section.
section. Oh, but the craziest thing is, I'm worse at math, like overall in terms of my writing ability and my math ability. But
Yeah,
on the SAT, it was just a completely different story. My writing
yeah,
was god awful on the SAT, and my math score was like surprisingly decent.
yeah.
Oh man, that was rough. But definitely just the SAT experience, just because I also started taking the SAT late. My first one was the end of junior year. Um, was it the end of junior year?
Dude, most kids at my school were taking it at the beginning of junior year.
I took my first one at the end of junior year, so I was already pretty late. I was
Yeah.
already pretty late. I think the June one was the first SAT I took.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. So like I took that one. No, I took the May one, and then I took the one in September coming back from the
Mm.
summer. And then I took the November ACT, I think. Because I
Mm.
was like, okay, I may as well take this just in case I need to submit it to like other schools and like see what's up with it.
Dude, it was terrible. I
ACT
actually
was
got through half
terrible.
of it. I only got through
ACT
half of
was
it.
terrible.
Like I got through half of every section. I didn't even have time to like fill in the bubbles.
Yeah.
So bad.
Like I completely sold. Oh my gosh, the speed that they want you to go for the ACT is unreasonable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unreasonable.
See, like, and I don't know how people are saying, "Oh my God, the SAT is impossible." I prefer the ACT. You have to know
What?
all those sciences, answer all those questions with less time. I'll take the SAT any day of the week, man.
That's true.
The day of I was actually gonna take the September SAT as well because I
Hmm.
believe, or one around then, because I believe that was the last one we could take before the ED application,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
So, dude, guess what happened? I have another story. So it was supposed to be taken in September. I think it was mid-September,
Yeah.
but it ended up getting pushed back because we had a hurricane because I live in Hawaii. So lucky for me, it gave me like another week and a half to study.
Hmm.
And now it's like the beginning of October. We have multiple test sites on my island, right?
Okay.
Um, so when I registered online, I swear I registered for this one test site. So that morning, we wake up early. I have a nice start, right? Actually, no, I don't have a nice start. I was very sick. I was running like a really high fever. So I take that back. I didn't have a nice start. But at the very least, we woke up early. We had breakfast, everything like that. It was nice. My mom and I had a nice, peaceful ride to Kamehameha Schools, which is on one side of town.
Yeah.
And then right as I'm about, no, we pull up the driveway at the school, and we notice there's no signs saying there's an SAT or where students should meet. There's no
Yeah.
students. There's no cars, and we're like, hmm. No, I'm like, and my mom's like, all right, Julian, where is everybody?
Things are
And then
not adding up.
I look at the ticket that has been in my hand the entire car ride,
Oh no.
the
No
entire like
way.
30-minute car ride, and I look at it, I'm like, Mom, it's not here. It's 20 minutes away. It was at my high school, whereas the school that we were at was on the other side of town. So my mom was like, "All right, Julian." So we we didn't speed, but we booked it.
Oh, no, of course you didn't speed. You didn't speed. Not a lick over the speed limit, but you booked it.
Dude, we got there like actually 2 minutes before the test started. Thank God there are people outside standing in line waiting to get their tickets checked and their IDs checked and everything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, think of it like this, right? Just the context. Everything that's going on in my head. This is the second SAT I'm taking. The last one I have to take before I submit to Dartmouth. The first one I took was not going to get me in. It was not even within the range. So this is the one that I had to show up for, right?
Right.
I already wasn't prepared fully initially, but thank God there was a hurricane, so that pushed it back. So then I have that added pressure because I had the extra time to prepare, right?
Mm.
I'm sick with a high fever. And we went to the wrong testing center. And
So you're already flustered. You're already flustered. Yeah. Luckily, it was at your own high school, so like you had the familiarity of like knowing where the buildings are to be able to like get to your room on time.
Yeah.
Because I had a story where I was actually like at this random school. I think it was in Quincy, like Quincy, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Random school. Pull up to their high school. Like the side of the building that we were supposed to enter in on. I can't even tell if people had previously been. Like it looks like there's no one at the school. Like the only reason why I even walk in from that side of the building is because there's cars parked there. So then I walk in, and then none of the lights on the first hall are on, and then I see like a light on like down the hall to the left, and then that's where everybody is. And then
is there another entrance or something?
Yeah, no, there are like I think 3 entrances that people go into that school from.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, but like it took me 10 minutes just to find the room that I was supposed to be in. And then you have to like get acclimated, find the bathroom, know where things are before you sit down and like get into testing zone.
Yeah.
Oh, man. An entire
just
mess.
Imagine if they lock the door. They're like, yeah, no one's gonna actually enter from this side. We'll just lock this door.
Exactly. I've been screwed.
Yeah. Oh. But thank God, that was so stressful. As soon as I took that SAT, I had a good feeling. When you have those weird feelings about certain tests, you're like, you know what? Either I like absolutely killed it, or I absolutely killed it.
Absolutely.
That's how I felt coming out of it. Thank God I got a good score because that was my last chance. But it was good enough to get me to Dartmouth. So thank goodness for that. Despite everything that happened, I managed to somehow pull through. And I know that it was a pure stroke of luck because the next SAT I took after that, because I'd already bought another test, even though like this is after I knew I got into Dartmouth. Yeah, I got in already, but I was like, yeah, I'll just take it anyways. I scored like 60 or 70 points lower than the previous one. So I was like, yeah, that's how you know that this whole thing was luck. Yeah. I showed up for game time, man.
Yeah, you showed up for game time. You got the cap and everything. Shut up.
But yeah.
Man.
Okay, but going to the perceptions of school. I'm trying to keep it short because I don't want people to sidetracked. It's been 20 minutes already. Jeez Louise. I just don't want people to click off and be like, all right, the title says perceptions of Dartmouth and what we wish we knew before we came, and all they're talking about is these idiots don't know how to take an SAT or go to the right test center or enter in the Sorry, we'll try and stay on track.
No. It was a good tangent. But back to the question at hand. For me, I guess my first experience with Dartmouth, like complete first experience, was the book awards actually.
Book award?
Yeah, I was actually one of the people that got the Dartmouth Book Award.
wanted it so badly, and I thought since I didn't get it, I'm like, there's no chance.
There's no way. It's over.
And since I did get it, he was actually one of my really good friends. I'm like, that's a ticket. You didn't have to apply, just throw the book at them. And you're in.
Literally, take the Robert Frost book that they gave. Wait, did they give him a Robert Frost like poetry book? I don't
Yeah.
know if they give the same book. Okay, yeah, but like, take that book, chuck it at their head, walk in the front door. No, but I guess that was my first experience with Dartmouth in general. Just because I hadn't really known that it like the only Ivy League schools I'd really known of were Brown and Harvard, and those were pretty much like proximity wise were the ones that I was like, those were the ones that I was like, oh okay, like okay, these are in proximity of me. Like Harvard is literally down the street, like the street that I walk past every day is called Harvard Street. The school of Harvard is like a train ride away. Like this is the school I know. So
Yeah.
it's like Dartmouth is on that. It's like, huh, green. They gave me a poetry book. That's different.
Yeah. It's cool.
And then over the summer, this program that I went to, that I talked to you a lot about, the one where I like traveled and spent a summer um,
That was
on,
year, right?
yeah, that was before senior year. This where I spent a summer on a college campus. That program, like the college advisor, was a Dartmouth alum, and you know Dartmouth alums, they go hard for their school.
They're so good at what they do.
They're just so good at what they do, just
Yeah.
bolstering the school at every possible opportunity. So I'm like, okay, like let me look at this school a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then so I end up actually
Dartmouth
going
alum are so
on.
good. It's just
It's actually insane how good they are at it.
they're
And
really
like
good at what they do.
we're not even Dartmouth alum yet, and we're already repping the school hard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what they do. That's what Dartmouth invests so much in. Like, things like trips, pre-orientation, orientation. That's all like the culture building, just like getting everyone to sign their lives to this cult. No, not really. If Dartmouth is watching, it's not a cult. We love you. But dude, but that's how they build community. And I'm not mad about it at all. If that means I have to run around a fire, dude, I'll take it. I had so much fun running around the fire.
And yes, that may sound like something people do in a cult, but we casually walked around the fire, organized in a line through. So no, we weren't running around. Oh my gosh. No, but I was actually able to visit the campus in September. Through I forgot the specific program, but I think it was like a local thing for like
Dimensions?
it wasn't Dimensions. It was something else where they brought a bunch of like New England like kids who were prospective students just to visit the campus and like get a tour, basically spend the day there, right? So
Yeah.
on that day specifically when we went, it was like me, like my best friend IK, and like a few other people from the program. And so like we're on campus, right? And you know how much I love food, Julian. You know how much I love food.
Oh no, yeah, you told me this story. This is a good story.
I told you this story before,
Yeah.
right? And so IK actually ends up getting to the program late, so they don't actually have like his folder that has like the meal swipe card for that day to like give to the people at the counter. So he basically misses lunch, right? And we're gonna be on our drive back home, so we're like, okay, we may as well grab a meal before we leave because it's a little bit of a journey back home, right?
Yeah.
And so we go to the entrance to FOCO, and basically, like we're explaining the situation how he didn't have a card to get in to like access the food, and this random girl behind us, student at Dartmouth, is just like, oh no, it's no worries, I'll pay for you guys. No questions asked. Nicest smile I've ever seen. No questions asked. She's just like, I'll pay for both of you guys, no problem. And she takes out her card, gives it to the lady, so she pays for herself, and then both of us to walk in.
And like she can only use one meal swipe, right?
Yeah,
So
I know how
that
the meal
was
plans work now.
like a
So
FOCO meal swipe is like $11.
yeah, I think by that time, it was already the dinner. It would have been what would have been the dinner swipe
That's like a $13 swipe.
per person. So she dropped like 26 bills
Wow.
at least.
Wait, when was this, like towards the end of the term? When was this?
No, this was in September. It was late September, so like beginning of the term.
Oh, so it's not like she had leftover meal swipes that she could just dish out
No, this was in the beginning.
out of
This
the
was in the
kindness of
beginning.
her heart.
Facts.
Wow. You see, that's Dartmouth right there. That is
Oh,
Dartmouth.
that is Dartmouth.
Like it
When
seems like a dreamland type of story, but no, that's the real thing.
that's the
That's
real
why we
thing.
chose Dartmouth.
Like,
Like when I remember when I came to campus, my first but actually I'd been up there as a freshman. My mom went to grad school at Dartmouth. So we were going to a symposium that was held on campus with her program. And of course, she took me on tours and did all that kind of stuff. And at that time, I was really interested in engineering because in eighth grade we had the science fair and I did an engineering project. So I was hot on that engineering work. And then we went to the engineering department. We talked to someone at the front desk. We were like, "Hey, is this professor around? We'd love to talk to them." They said, "Oh, I don't know where they are. I can go check on that." And then someone who's standing in line behind us happened to overhear, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you're looking for so and so. Let me get them for you." Complete stranger, not even a professor. I don't even know
yeah,
what this man was doing here, but he like spent like the next 20 or 30 minutes hunting this guy down for us. Complete strangers. Like people that aren't even in the Dartmouth community really. Like he didn't know my mom was an alum, right?
yeah.
Although he could have guessed. He could have guessed, but he didn't know my mom was an alum. He didn't know but he like went way out of his way to help us anyways. Um After that, my next time being at Dartmouth was summer before senior year. I was
Mhm.
there for this program called the Dartmouth Bound Native American Community Program. Basically, what it was kids spent. Well, actually, no, it wasn't the summer before. It was like in September, actually around the same time as you,
Oh, okay.
September.
Wait, no, wait.
Um,
With what you just said, it was part of the. It was like one of the bound programs. I think it was Dartmouth Inbound, because they brought a bunch of people in, and then that's why they called it Inbound from like around New England. Okay, that's what it was. That's what it
yeah. Okay, cool. So we're both bound kids. That's actually pretty cool. Their retention rate after those programs is insane. They keep so many of those kids, or at least a lot of those kids end up getting in. It's
was.
crazy. Anyways, when I got on campus, I believe we stopped right outside of Collis, and that's where my host picked me up. And as we were walking from there to the Native American house,
Hmm.
so many people just like waved and said hi. Like people that I didn't even know, they're like, "Oh, are you a Prosby?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Prosby." And they're like, "Oh, hi, welcome to Dartmouth. I hope you love your time here." Oh my god. Oh my god. At that point, I was already in love with the place. And then my first impression of like students was we went to the native house and no one was upstairs. So we went downstairs to see if anyone was in there. It was
Hmm.
completely dark, but three faces lit up in the dark as Shrek was playing on TV. They all just like looked at me. And I'm like, and my host is like, "Oh, hey guys, this is Julian. He's a prospect." Like, "Oh, welcome, Julian." Da, 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 da. Everyone was just so nice and accommodating. Um, we did so many cool things on that trip. Like, of course, we learned all about native. We learned all about Dartmouth, native history of Dartmouth, everything like that. But like some of the few things that really stuck out in my head, and this all plays to the whole Still North thing,
Yeah.
being like a culty community in the woods. They made us fresh apple cider. Like not they didn't go to Molly's and buy apple cider. No, they brought
Hmm.
apples and made it in a pot for us. Oh my God,
Oh
Richie.
my goodness.
Nothing has ever compared to that since. Tastes better than apples, Richie.
It does. It's like
It
apples,
was,
but on a different level.
and then, with that they had cider donuts. Oh,
Cider donuts.
deadly combo. Me being
Please
from Hawaii, that
combo.
was my first time having both, right? So I was
Yeah.
over the moon impressed. Um, and then if that wasn't enough, this was that was our second night there. Then the last night we had like our closing banquet and everything like that. We're all wearing nice dress clothes and stuff like that. And then all of our hosts were like, "Hey guys, do you want to go watch the stars on a golf course?" First of all, didn't know you had a golf course. That's insane. Why do you have a golf course? And, and then I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go look at the stars. That's insane. We get out there, Richie. Oh my God.
Clear
Like
skies.
like us being in the middle of the woods, yeah, we don't have access to a city and everything like that, but you realize you don't need it. When I saw those stars, I realized you don't need it. I got out there, Richie, and I swear to you, within the first 5 minutes, I saw two shooting stars. Two shooting stars. And that was the clearest sky I'd ever seen in my life. You could see the Milky Way band right across the sky. It looked like someone had just spilled salt everywhere. It was gorgeous.
Wow.
You could see actual constellations. It was
It's
incredible.
actually crazy. Like we can really tell where. At least that was one thing I did a lot. In the late fall of like fall term was I'd literally just like look up at the sky as I'm walking
Yeah.
back to my dorm from the library, just from anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd just look up at
It's
the sky and
beautiful.
just look at it.
It's just beautiful. You know, I didn't really get the idea of what the still north was until we went on trips. And then I thought back to that experience. And then I think to Bartlett Tower, where Robert Frost wrote his poems. And I think about just being surrounded by the woods. Like what the still north means is like it's just a profound contemplative environment for one to think, find oneself, everything like that. And people can dog all they want on the fact that it's in the middle of the woods. We dog on it because it's like a fun thing to do, right? But
Yeah.
really, being in the still north is just an unmatched experience. Like that's something that can't come across in any pamphlet and any tour. You have to live it to know what we're talking about. And when I tell you the still north is something beautiful and something that you feel deep inside you, I mean it with all of me. That's what makes me a proud Dartmouth student is that still north. Because you can find it in every single one of the students. That deep settled feeling, you know, of the still north.
Yeah.
It's what brings us together, I feel. And that's what our community is built around, is the still north. Um, and it's just like a really powerful undercurrent. It might seem like I'm hyperbolizing all this, but I'm getting chills talking about it actually.
I know. I can feel your urge to be back on campus.
Dude, you don't know. You don't know.
Oh
If
my
it weren't for this
goodness.
coronavirus thing, I might have just swam there. But I mean, as far as but that understanding is something that's shared, which is such a crazy thing because it's not like it's pushed on us, right? Like the only
Yeah.
time we really talk about the still north is in the alma mater. Um, but it's something that runs through everyone, that appreciation. And the crazy thing is that runs through people who come from cities, who come from Hawaii, Australia, China, England, wherever. It's it's just a crazy thing. That appreciation and respect for the space, not even necessarily the environment, like the trees and everything like that, but just the space, the history. 250 years. That's crazy. You
I
know,
know.
there's like it's made just as evident when you go. Okay, I know we make fun of this because it's a weird thing, but you go to the graveyard, guys. You have a graveyard on campus. It sounds creepy, but how cool is that? How cool is that? That's the still north right there. Going and walking amongst campus and seeing that history right in front of you. When I
Every
was up
day.
there with, yeah, you get to walk by it every day. Um,
Yeah.
when I was with there with my mom in ninth grade, we went in there and we looked up names on the headstones. Incredible army generals, army colonels, like people who fought in wars and have like glorious histories. People with purple hearts, everything like that. And it's all inspiring, really, to be in a place that historic and that deeply rooted. Not only as far as like the valley goes, but just like American history. This school is older than our
Older
country.
than our country. It really
That
is.
blows my mind.
It's
Like, and I
older
know
than the
you especially can
country.
have an appreciation for that because you're from Boston, right? The birthplace of our country. So I'm sure you going there and seeing that is like just as awe-inspiring. For me, like
Yeah.
Hawaii is a very young state, so it's not like we
Mhm.
have any of that history, like walking around and seeing the old red and orange brick buildings
Yeah.
and all that other kind of stuff. like the old trees and everything like that. And me being there, that was like, wow, this is it. It was just so cool. So cool.
Crazy stuff. Honestly, it just like, because I guess when you go to Boston, I don't know how much it's advertised, but like on some of the sidewalks, it's like marked off where like Paul Revere did his like ride to Lexington Concord and like, that whole thing. So you can kind of like see parts of the streets that are like marked with like the trail of like where he went, and kind of just
Yeah.
comparing and contrasting that to like the history of Dartmouth is like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy because like the building styles are the same. Um, just that sense of history, I feel like, really
Yeah.
comes through, and kind of that contrast between this place was built as Paul Revere, like almost in like the same time period that Paul Revere was alive, and impacting just our history.
Yeah. It's incredible. So that was like I hadn't known it then. I couldn't put the word still north to it then, but that feeling of the wilderness is really what made my first impression, and the people and being in the woods, what kind of community and culture that cultivates and that fosters, and that was my first impression of Dartmouth. Um, I remember you talked about housing earlier. I remember watching a video that Joelle did on housing, um,
Yeah.
and I remember she's like, "Yeah, these are the Choates. It's a little older, da 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 da." And then there's East Wheelock. This one is brand new. This is like the place to be. You want to be here. And I'm like, man, if only I could be in East Wheelock. But me having my luck, I'm not gonna get in East Wheelock. Oh, when that housing form came, and I saw East Wheelock on there, and I had a single. Oh, oh, it felt so good.
Oh man,
Such a relief.
I trudged that. I took that march, or I trudged that trail every day, pretty much, to go to East Wheelock, all the way from the Choates.
Yeah.
Actually, so it's pretty crazy stuff. Those dorms, unmatched, unmatched
Yeah.
amenities. That central cooling
No.
system, not AC,
Yeah.
central cooling.
And then
It's
the
different.
dimming lights. The dimming lights.
Yeah.
So I guess now we can move on more to what we wish we had known before we got to campus.
Ooh. Ooh.
I would
Hmm.
say, off the top of my head, homesickness and how different people deal with that. But we wanted to give that its own discussion, so we'll leave that more towards the end. Stick around for that. But yeah, what do you wish you knew before coming to Dartmouth?
Um, I guess just getting like the most rudimentary thing. Like once I got to campus, how much stuff I could have left back at home. Just because I was one of the people that had the luxury to like come in a car with what I wanted to bring and like bring it all to
Yeah.
campus.
Uh-huh.
And so I kind of went, I guess, above and beyond and had the room just fully decked out with like all of my life all in that room. And
Yeah.
like most of the stuff I just did not end up using. And like it just sat there collecting dust for the term. And
Yeah.
like I guess that's just like on the most basic level. What I wish I knew is that I wasn't gonna use all that stuff. I could have stayed at home
Yeah.
because now some of it's unfortunately still there.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
same here. Like I brought so much clothes, so much clothes. Um, like I thought, oh, I'm gonna be in an Ivy League school. I'm gonna have to wear collared shirts all the time,
all the
all the time.
time. No.
I wore it like twice. I wore it like twice. And I kid you not, like 2/3 of my closet is just collared shirts that I've never used. So there's that. Also, me being the naive Hawaii boy, I thought I'd be wearing shorts all the time because that's all I wear here, right? Is shorts. I didn't
Yeah.
touch those. I didn't touch
Oh,
them.
no, I was ready for that. I knew I didn't need to bring that many shorts. I did the opposite. I brought too many sweaters.
Oh,
Way too
see, but
many
that's nice.
sweaters.
But the amount of real estate that those shorts took up, unreal. um, but yeah, I just brought way too much stuff. So the thing is, like, what happened is my mom ended up shipping up. So I brought over 2 full suitcases and a carry-on, but all of my bedding and snacks and everything like that was in
Yeah.
boxes that were getting sent over. And my mom sent them over a bit late. Like the day after I left on the plane, she sent them over.
Okay.
So for like 2 to 3 days, Richie, I slept on a bed with no covers, no blanket, no pillow. I had no soap. I had
Oh.
no soap. So thank God, the girl who lives right next to me, Mimi. I
Yeah.
know she's watching this, so hi, Mimi. Thank God what's it called? She hooked me up with a pillow and a small fuzzy blanket and some soap after a 10-hour flight and a 2.5-hour drive. The last thing you want to realize when you walk through the door of your dorm on your first day is that you're going to be sleeping on a naked bed and you're not going to be taking a shower.
Oh.
It was tough, but Mimi hooked it up. So thank you, Mimi.
Yeah, shout out Mimi, an insane lacrosse player and good friend.
I told her that she's going to be our biggest fan, and when merch comes out, she's just going to be repping it like nobody's business. And she said, "In your dreams," but we'll work our way there. We know she goes to bed to this podcast every night.
Of course, bro. Once he puts it on Spotify, he just has it on autoplay for the 3 episodes we have up so far.
Just running the whole night. Oh, I had a nightmare. Oh, I better turn up 2 islands. Okay, back to sleep now.
Oh, that was a bad dream. I didn't leave a review, and my life just fell apart after I didn't leave that review.
Maybe I should just like and comment for good dreams. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mimi. But yeah, when I got there, I mean, there was, I think the negative things that I experienced were just things that were characteristic of moving to college, moving to a new cultural area. There was a pretty big culture shock for me, as you can imagine. Um, but I found it very cool. Like, just like the New England culture and all that stuff. It was cool. It was all new and it was very fancy for me. Nothing I was used to. The history was crazy. What else? I just I missed home a lot. Um, but something that I wasn't expecting when I got there was how great of friends I was gonna meet when I got there. Like everyone says, like, oh, you're gonna find your people in college. Um, in my head, that was insinuating that it's gonna take you a little bit, but you'll get there eventually. But no, I got extremely lucky because Tanner lived right across the hall from me, and Tanner knew you and the rest of the 5 gang, and you guys are my friends. So I got so lucky because by pre-orientation,
I appreciate it.
no, but that really led to where we are right now with the podcast, which is crazy.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that, if it weren't for all of us being on for pre-orientation during the same time, then none of this would have happened. But I find myself extremely fortunate to have such great friends before school is even started, before orientation week.
I know.
Like
That's
I have
Frio.
friends from high school. Yeah, I have friends from high school who were like, after their first term or semester or quarter on campus, wherever they were, they're like, yeah, I really like school, but something that was really difficult for me was that I couldn't find like a really solid group of friends. Like it would kind of be like from week to week, like I would hang out with this group and then they would kind of do their own thing and then I'd find new people and then I would end up doing my own thing. And dude, we all stay solid.
We all
throughout the whole
stayed
thing.
so solid.
The
All
Morton
term.
and Friends group chat.
Morton and Friends.
It's evolved a bit since then, but Supporting friends. That's where it started. Um, it's just crazy. That's what I was really fortunate for. Um, I also felt very much at home. Of course, I missed home, Hawaii, but I found a home in New Hampshire, which was crazy. Um, when that really began to settle in for me was when we came home for winter break,
Mhm.
and I was like, why do I feel like I'm at home? I'm in my old house. Why do I feel like I'm so far away from my home?
Yeah.
And that's because Dartmouth became my home. Not like my primary home, but like another home, a secondary home. That blew my mind. That just goes to show that all the cult stuff that Dartmouth does, it works.
It
It works.
works. No, because even
Um,
with what you just said, like you said, my old home.
yeah.
Like you said, my old home.
Wow.
Like I was in my old home. I don't even know if you caught yourself saying that, but like
I didn't. I didn't.
it's
That's
just those
crazy.
things that end up happening. Like you really get attached to not only
The
the
people,
people, but like
place.
just the place. Yeah.
Yeah. The still north. It's intoxicating. Um, yeah. Things I wish I knew before I got there. Um, I'm gonna tell myself this now because I still haven't reached that point yet. But maybe we can manifest it right now. So everyone, rub your hands together. Uh, I wish I knew when I first came to Dartmouth that everything was gonna be okay, and I'm gonna figure out a plan for myself academically and career-wise. I haven't gotten there yet, but let's hope that I can speak to future Julian, or maybe future Julian is speaking to me right now, and he's saying, "Look, don't need to worry. Everything's gonna get figured out." Um, Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say to that. It's difficult going to a liberal arts school, being a liberal arts student,
Mhm.
um, because like we're interested in everything, right? Or at least I am. I'm interested in everything. I find everything engaging, and at a place that like Dartmouth that makes everything so accessible, it really feels like you could pursue any of your interests and be successful, right?
Yeah.
Um, because everything is just there for you. But it's a matter of finding what gets you up in the morning, what makes you happy, things like that. And that I feel like that's the real challenge for a lot of liberal arts students. You hear all these stories of from alums or from seniors that are like, yeah, if I had like 2 more credits in the history department, I'd have a history major. If I had 1 more geography credit, I'd be a
I would
geography
have a
major.
geography
It's
major.
like people jump down all these bunny holes just because it's that accessible to them,
I
and
know.
that's just really cool. But again, that's a double-edged sword. It means people end up finding their way a little later on. That's the impression that I get, at least so far. So, and that's where I'm kind of at right now. Um, but it can be difficult, but I also believe that it's also enabling. Um, it makes it so that students can find the gray area in whatever industries they want. They're not pigeonholed. Um, so yeah, as far as what I wish I knew before Dartmouth, and I guess as far as what I wish I knew now is that everything's going to be okay. What
Yeah, and I
about you?
think just adding on to that, everything's gonna be okay is kind of just that homesickness in terms of the culture. Just because Dartmouth culture is one thing that I really love, but like being at home and like being able to just wake up and know that my mom chefed up some delicious Haitian cuisine and
Yeah.
that's ready to eat at any point in time, and like I can spend time with my younger brothers or talk with my sister
Mhm.
or just like see my family in person. Um, like that sort of thing is like just so valuable to me, and
Yeah.
it's something that I hadn't really realized I wouldn't. Um, I guess I hadn't realized I'd struggle with it as much,
Yeah.
just because I think it hit more winter term than fall term.
I was just
Just
gonna say, yeah,
because
same here.
with winter term, like my
The
classes
cold sets
overall
in,
were
man.
more difficult. The cold sets in.
Yeah.
The day ends at 3:30 p.m. It's dark at 4. It's dark at 4 p.m.
It's
And
brutal. Like you need to get your daily sun, right? And it's the worst thing in the world when you're watching the sunset from class.
yeah, like you're in class, you're watching the sun go past the window, over the window, and then you see the moon right there, looking at you when class is over, and just like, wow, that happened.
You go out for lunch and all of a sudden the moon's out and it's dark outside. wow, I really just spent the only 3 hours of sun I had today inside.
Yeah. And like,
No.
I don't know, I feel like that's something I was used to growing up in the Northeast, but it kind of sets in more when
Oh yeah.
you don't have necessarily like your home to go to. Because even though you feel like great with the friends that you're making or the people that you're beginning to meet, but like it does hit different when it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I still have all this homework to do. It's dark
Hmm.
out. It's cold.
Yeah.
And then, like, unless I'm making plans with friends, like past 7 p.m., unless it's like a night on campus where people are actively doing things, it's gonna be it's gonna be a lot more barren than
Slow.
fall or spring term. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I feel
That's why
like a
we
lot of
put in the
people.
work at Pool Hall. Pool Hall.
Whoa,
Those 13 game
this,
series.
oh my goodness.
That was
Losing 5 straight games to this man, Julian, I did not give up and I did not quit. I came back with a vengeance.
uh, no, but same here. Like for me, I'm always someone who's really valued independence. Me not having a lot of freedom in high school just because I was always so busy. Me being at Dartmouth, having my own community of people, and excuse me, being able to structure my time however I wanted to. Dude, I loved it. Fall term was no issue for me. Um, when I came home for a winter break, it was like, man, when can I go back to school? When can I go back to school? And I got back and I was just loving it. And then I like kind of felt myself slipping in a sense, like um, like the core of who I was all of a
Mhm.
sudden started to feel a little muddied, or a bit unclear. And it was because I'd been so far away from home and I'd been so far away from that so long. I kind of lost touch with who I was. Not in like a, you see, I don't want to sound dramatic and say like I lost touch of who I was, but that's kind of what it felt like. I didn't know what it meant to feel disconnected with that piece of yourself because it was just unfamiliar to me, right? I'd never been away from home for so long,
Mhm.
and there was like I was happy. It's not like I was sad or anything like that, but there was like a feeling inside me where I was like something's not right. And I didn't realize what that was until I came home. Because like I didn't come home on my terms, right? I came home because of coronavirus, so I
Yeah.
already wasn't too pleased about being home. Like I was very happy to see my family again and everything like that, and it was really nice seeing them again because I hadn't seen them in a while. But it, I was forced to be home, right? Because we were planning on being in Montreal during that time. Um,
Mhm.
but then when I got home, me just already feeling a bit turbulent inside, and then already being frustrated because I got sent home. Um, really created an environment for me to think about why I felt so unsettled, and it was because I'd been away from family and home for so long, you know, and I had to
Yeah.
reconnect with that core of myself. Because the whole time when I was here during winter, I was like, yeah, I feel like now my home is shifting. Now Dartmouth is more so my home because that's now where I'm building my new life, right?
Mhm.
um, Making new friends, connections. You really are starting over brand new in a new place. So that's where
Yeah.
home felt. And then, but I was quickly corrected when I came home and I realized, no, there's a reason home is home for a reason. It doesn't just move with you so easily. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like home can be like a composite or a fluid concept. Um, in that Dartmouth is my home where I can recreate myself and I can evolve. But Hawaii is always my home where I can come back to. Those are my fundamentals, my basics.
Okay.
And that was an interesting realization that I came to. Because, like I like to think of it as, see, in my head, this analogy makes perfect sense, but when I explain it, it doesn't. Um, like a barrel on a gun, right, will guide you to where you need to go, and that
Mhm.
provides more accuracy, right? A barrel on a gun, but um, so that's where I felt like, as far if I were to be a gun, right, that's where I felt like I was in the barrel, right? Because
Okay.
I'm like off out here learning new things about myself, But the thing is, if you forget your stock and the trigger and everything that's at the base of the gun, doesn't matter what's at the barrel if you don't have your fundamentals, you know.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense at all?
No, because it's like you won't be able to fire properly. You won't be able to go on that
Yeah,
path to discover yourself and learn more about yourself
yeah.
because those fundamentals and those basics aren't curated well to be able to send you off that path. Makes sense.
The barrel is nothing without the gun.
Exactly. Big
No,
brain
but
things.
that's what it felt like, you know. It felt like it felt like I was all the way out here, but I had nothing tethering me down, you know.
Mm.
Um, so being home, being rooted again, is what really brought me that sense of peace and being settled again. Um, I wish I knew that before I went to Dartmouth, because I feel like if I went off the deep end with anything, it was the idea that I could do it on my own and that I had all this independence. And all I needed was school and my friends in order to be successful. Not that I had left my family behind or anything like that, but I just felt like, you know what, everything I need is up here. I have a great community of people that support me. I know that I can make it up here, but you're always going to need home.
Yeah.
And once I made that realization, that's when the homesickness set in. Because we were talking about it before, right, Richie? Like, um, really, as long as you're not in your house, everyone's pretty much the same distance away from home. If you really think about it, as far as like internal feeling, or for what it's worth, I guess everyone's the same distance away from home.
Mm.
Um, but so in that way, everyone's in the same boat as far as being homesick. But for me, being so far away from my family, being in such a different cultural setting, um, being not seeing very many Hawaiians, all of a sudden I'm losing my accent, right? Um, I'm not in the sun as much, so I'm losing my color. Um, I feel distant from home because I'm not calling my family as much as I should be, not checking in. Um, I just got very wrapped up in Dartmouth, and I felt like I was lost at the core of where I was. Um, and that was it was very confusing and scary. It was scary. Um, but coming to that realization and being home really helped bring me
Yeah.
back in. It felt
Because
good.
it's like you were wanting to have Dartmouth be a part of your life. But in the beginning, it was almost that you were Dartmouth was almost consuming your life in a sense that all these new experiences, these new people, these new opportunities were consuming you to where the core of what brought you to Dartmouth in the first place was starting to get lost almost. And so,
Exactly.
kind of realizing that you needed to have all these new opportunities of Dartmouth, but also have that rooted in your family and your background and what makes you you is something that you now know. And moving
Yeah.
forward, you'll definitely be able to apply and just
Yeah.
learn more from your experiences. So really
Exactly.
great.
Exactly. Like when I was at Dartmouth, I felt like a hot shot in the sense that like I was making all these discoveries about myself. I had just walked onto the I had just started training with the rowing team. Um, I was I was really inspired, and I was engaged in my classes. I was active in clubs on campus. It felt like I was off doing my own thing. I was growing up, and I was becoming who I was meant to become. You know,
Hmm.
um, and in doing that and getting so wrapped up in that, I kind of lost that base. You know, I lost the stock, I lost the trigger and the barrel. I was just a barrel, just a barrel, a little side barrel. But yeah, did you experience anything similar?
I definitely can mirror the sentiment where it's like you kind of become so involved that you almost forget what brought you there.
Mm.
Just because for me, I at first I didn't really like for the end of fall term, right? I wanted to go home and enjoy Thanksgiving with my family. But after that first week of winter, I was ready to go back. I was
Yeah,
ready to go back. But after just
yeah,
the first week after Thanksgiving was over, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to Dartmouth now. Let's get this,
Yeah.
let's get this going. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really winter term where I realized that um, I was kind of not getting too involved, but I wasn't really taking time to like take stock in how I was doing mentally.
Exactly.
And I got
Exactly.
so focused in the motions of going to class, going to this club, emailing this professor, going to office
Mm-hmm.
hours, finding time to hang out with friends, going to this social event, that it kind of just all was happening. And I was kind of just watching myself go to these different events.
Yes.
And I'm a lot more of the person where I'm more introspective, where I really look at myself and like reflect on things a lot. And like I
Yeah.
kind of was missing that time to really reflect on myself and all of these different things that were happening in my life and all these new experiences and just meeting so many different people every single day,
Yeah.
um, that I wasn't really reflecting like how I usually did in high school or in middle school even.
Yeah.
And
Going
I
back to
think
the
I
first
didn't.
episode type of stuff. Remember we were
Yeah,
talking about that? No, for real.
yeah.
Yeah.
um I wasn't really reflecting how like I usually would, and because of that, I think I wasn't getting as much from each experience as I could have been.
Mm.
And I think I didn't really realize that until I got like kind of sick um, towards the end of the term, and I was like, huh, I because at that point I couldn't go to all those different events because I was like kind of stuck in bed, like
Yeah.
finals are
Yeah.
soon. I'm stuck in bed. I need
Yeah.
to study and I don't want to. And I was in that mindset. And then that's when I really had that sit down time to just think about the term and everything that was happening to me um, up until this point and kind of reassess what's been going on. And that's when I was like, I really miss home. Like, I really want to go home now.
Yeah.
And then, well, the virus hit, and
You got what you want.
that wish was that wish was definitely granted.
No, but you're right. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like you get wrapped up in day-to-day life and you're like, and this could be induced by just the environment at Dartmouth because we are in 10-week terms. It's a very fast-paced lifestyle.
Extremely fast
It's
paced.
a 10-week sprint. Um, so it is easy to get wrapped up like that. Um, yeah, I just couldn't have said it better myself, right? You get wrapped up in the day-to-day activities and it's hard to take time for yourself because like we'll be honest, right? Like this is the first time we had this like access to like parties too and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so you're living your life academically and you need to find balance and just like let off some steam, right? So you go to those, you go to parties and whatever, da 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 da. Um, and that's the lifestyle. Like you work really hard and then you find some time to let off steam. It's not always at a party. I was just using that as an example. And in that, it's really easy to get lost in what you do day to day. Um, yeah, I just couldn't have said it better myself. I put it perfectly. Um, it's just crazy. But um, although it really hurts being home for this long, I feel like I'm still learning more and more about myself, having this experience at home, um, and feeling this longing for Dartmouth. And you get to think back and appreciate that time you spent over there more than you did when you were over there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that is
Um,
definitely happening.
because no one's thinking, oh, you know what? I'm having so much fun with my friends right now. I better have as much fun as I can because I'm going to be home for the next however many months because the pandemic's coming. No one's thinking that.
Nobody has that on their mind. This next
Uh,
9 months, potentially
yeah,
to a year, I'm not going to be back on campus. I need to enjoy these moments with all
yeah.
the homies. No, nobody is thinking like that.
Uh, but I guess it made an organic experience, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Dartmouth students are going to be different people from now on, at least for the next 4 years, right? Because the freshmen, the rising freshmen, we're going to be the cohort of students who knew what it was like to have gone through that. And of course, there's a lot of other college students who experience the same thing, right? But
Hmm.
I feel like it really is different at Dartmouth. We're such a small community, and our community who we are as people, as students, as a school, is based so strongly around us being together, you know, in the middle of the woods, roughing it, you know, having it getting taken away it does a number on us, you know. Um, I think in some ways it's gonna mean that we come back to school with less of that sense of Dartmouth spirit because um, those who spent 4 years on campus aren't going to be there anymore. So that piece of Dartmouth culture might be lost. Who knows? Um, or we could come back with a greater appreciation for it, especially those who had been on campus, experienced it, and had it taken away.
Yeah,
So it's going to be really interesting to see how things are moving forward. Um, yeah.
it truly is.
Um, is there anything else? Oh my God! Is there anything else we should cover for these 24s?
I think I feel like that's a good dose. That's a
It's
good
a wrap.
dose.
It's a wrap.
Yeah. And
Um,
like, obviously, we're gonna touch on subjects like this moving forward. So it's like,
yeah. I mean, if you 24s want, we can talk about before school starts. Hopefully, maybe you can hear our experience with how online school went for the first time. Um, it might be different for us because we're used to being at school on campus and then coming home, whereas you guys are just going straight into online school. But if that's something you would like to hear, let us know and we'd be glad to talk
yeah,
about
let
it.
us know.
Other than that, Dartmouth 24s, you've made it. Welcome to the family. We're so happy to have you. Um, feel free to reach out to us anytime you want. I mean, we would love to talk to you, and it doesn't have to be about the podcast. It can be
Yeah,
about
it could
anything.
be about anything, really.
If you can't tell, we have a humongous crush on Dartmouth. So if there's anything you want to know about athletics, if you want to know more detailed stuff about life outside of school, academics, the D plan, anything under the sun, we'd be more than happy to help you out. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far.
Honestly, it was a wild ride, but we got through it.
Hopefully you
We
stayed
went
to the
on a few
end. We're
tangents,
all over that. Yeah.
but we made it.
Is there anything you want to say to the 24s before we end the session?
I think just one thing.
Any advice you want to give them? Yeah.
Advice. I think one thing that I was a little bit nervous about was talking to professors outside of class, and like,
Mm-hmm.
um, not in terms of just like the office hours, but like really taking that time, just to talk to them about what they do and like what brought them to Dartmouth. Just because professors are always
Oh,
ready for that conversation to happen
mm-hmm.
between you and them, and like they're really willing to fill you in on what they do as a profession and really what brought them to Dartmouth as a professor, just because it is a smaller Ivy League institution. So there is really that more personalized connection that you can have with a professor, and you can really learn a lot from them. And I just feel like just take the time if you find a professor that you don't mind talking to, um, reach out to them because
You
it
can be
can
friends with
really,
your professors. That's a beautiful thing.
yeah, it can really create a lasting connection that can not only lead to potential job opportunities or internships, but just a good person to mentor you and like show you the ropes.
Yeah. I have one last thing actually. Um, if there is any point to the stuff that we're talking about with being home for coronavirus and anything like that, is that these times might feel really lonely. But just know, and I mean this with all of me, that the Dartmouth community is really wherever you go. I'm in the middle of the Pacific Ocean right now, and I can still find Dartmouth here. I find it in conversations that I have with Richie. I find it in talking to you through the podcast as a listener. Um, it feels isolating, but you're not alone, and that's a wonderful thing. So keep that in mind. Hopefully, that carries you through this term. And with that, we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, because it may be a very long 10 weeks.
But we know you can do it. You're here for a reason. You're a part of the Dartmouth community. We love you. We're happy you're here. and you got this in the bag. You can do it. I guess that's all I really have to say. I'm so proud of you guys for making it this far. We know what it's like getting here. It's tough, but you made it. So go Big
And this
Green.
is only the beginning. Go Big Green.